Hey, eighth grade, here is a quick video I wanted to share with you and a few things I wanted to tell you. So I made a quick Google Slides to share with you. So today I just want to really quick touch on the idea of missing links. A missing link is a link between two creatures in the evolution model. For example, it's the link between apes and humans because humans are said to have evolved from apes. So there should be something in between that is ape-like and human-like that came between the two of us. So I wanted to go through a couple of the evolution ideas for missing links. All right, now we obviously as creationists don't believe in missing links, but I want to show you some of the evidence that's out there that you could see in a science textbook. So the first one is Lucy. And Lucy is an early find and one that's rather complete. You'll see that some of the skeletons and fossils found are not very complete. But Lucy was a fossil found in 1974 in Ethiopia by an American scientist named Donald Johanson. She is thought, it is a she is thought to be the missing link between humans because she's kind of ape-like and kind of human-like. She's not as ape-like as an ape and not as human-like as a human. And if you look at her skeleton, they found it's rather complete. And so what's interesting about a lot of these is that an artist then will take what was found and they'll make a model, a statue, a drawing of what was found. And it's almost impossible to do that because looking at a skeleton, we don't know that she looked like this, that her hair was this way. And so you can't just take a skeleton and know what skin color looks like or hair or facial features because the skeleton's simply too incomplete and we just don't have that evidence because that doesn't fossilize. There was more than one of her found, and we consider her as creationist to be an ape. Different, but again, an old fossil could be an extinct creature that we don't know about. There's many of them that would have died in the flood that we don't know about. So Lucy is, as creationists think, a very unique ape that's probably extinct that we don't know about. But keep in mind that your textbooks will tell you that she is the missing link between ape and human, and this is most likely what she looked like when, again, we can't just make that assumption based on a skeleton we found. All right, I got a couple more for you. This is Java Man, Eugene Dubois, who is Dutch, and I wrote that he is enamored with the idea of evolution. That means he believes it to be true, and enamored means he's kind of obsessed with it. So he's out to find a missing link. In 1892, on the island of Java, hence the name Java Man, he found a human-like femur bone. Okay, so there's a picture of a femur right here, a leg bone. A year earlier, in a very similar site, he found some teeth and a skull. So there's some pictures here of that. Now the leg bone appeared to be human, but the other things appeared to be ape-like, okay? They were about 50 feet apart as well, which is a little disconcerting because they weren't by each other. And then they took this and created Java Man, a picture of him from this find, these few teeth, the femur bone, and the skull cap. Again, not something you can necessarily make an entire artist rendition of because we don't know what the rest of his skull looked like to know what his face looked like. He withheld some information that he also found some human skulls, which probably went with the human femur bone. And later after DNA testing, and as time goes on, we do find that these are not from the same skeleton. This is a human femur bone, and the skull were apes. So with DNA testing, we can tell they're not from the same. So again, it was two species put together in one and then said, oh, this is the missing link. All right, Nebraska Man, this is kind of my favorite. Henry Osborn, he was an anthropologist that worked at a museum in New York. He received from someone a fossilized tooth, one tooth, and it was 1922. This was around the time of the Scopes monkey trial when we were deciding, should we teach evolution in school? Should it be creation? Up to this point, it was the Bible being taught, but people were not liking that anymore. So he was out to find a way to discredit and disprove creation and the Bible. And so later it was discovered. So they made this picture of Nebraska Man from a single tooth, by the way. Notice how they're kind of hunched over like an ape might walk and not quite upright. They look very primitive. They kind of look like some creatures that you might see in some kids' movies like Ice Age. So be careful what you watch even on TV. And it was later discovered that it was actually a pig's tooth, again, with DNA testing. So from one tooth, we made these pictures of Nebraska Man. And it was actually thought to be an extinct pig at first, but this is a peccary, and they actually are alive now. And so, and not that they were ever extinct, but they're a current species of pigs. So he actually had a current species of pig tooth, and then we get this whole spread about Nebraska Man. All right, Piltdown Man. Piltdown Man was found in the city of Piltdown in Sussex, England, by Charles Dawson, and it was 1912. What they discovered was part of a skull and part of a jaw. Okay, so in this picture, you see a full skull. What you need to realize is the rest was actually reconstructed. The dark part is what they found, and the white is what they reconstructed. So it's kind of impossible actually to know how big the eye sockets were or how protruding the mouth was from an incomplete skull. And later, actually, what they found was they had pieced two things together that didn't belong together. The skull was human and the jaw was ape. They were essentially two different animals. But from it, again, they made this picture of someone or thing that looks kind of between an ape and a human. And actually, this one is really much a hoax because the people who were reconstructing it actually took the bones, filed down the teeth to make them look more ancient and more ape-like, and then they also chemically treated and painted the bones to make it look older. So this was a big hoax, and that is actually recognized that people kind of ruined this idea, and it's still printed in textbooks. You have to be careful what you read. All right, the last one is Neanderthal Man. Neanderthal Man was found in 1856 in the Neander Valley in Dusseldorf, Germany. And we have found a whole bunch of what we consider or what are called Neanderthal Mans around Europe and Asia, so scattered all over the place. They have a really large brow, and you can see the picture on the left. They've got a wider forehead or a large brow. They're big boned. They have a narrow skull. They actually have a larger brain capacity, and what we're finding, and I didn't really mention it previously, is in the other slides, those actually had a smaller brain capacity than a human, saying like apes are a smaller brain capacity, which they are, and humans are a larger brain capacity, so our brain had to evolve as well. But they actually had a larger brain capacity, which is interesting. Their stature was a little bit curved, their backbone, so they were hunched just a little bit, and their jaws were slightly different. But nonetheless, this guy in this picture on the left here, who's Neanderthal Man, rather does look like rather just human. And again, they were actually now classified as humans, not as a missing link. They lived in a time with harsh conditions. They probably had rickets and arthritis, which caused their backs to be a little hunched. They also had a lack of sunlight, poor diet, which is going to change the structure of your body. They lived a very hard life, and they're going to be bigger boned and stronger because of the life they're living and the way they have to live. This is before modern times. Some of the other stuff found with their skeletons, they made tools. They cared for the sick. There were bones that were healed that people cared for and casted and splinted. They had funerals for their dead. They buried them. Animals don't do that. So Neanderthal Man is not a missing link, but rather a subgroup of humans that lived somewhere else, okay, and just have different body features. So what does this mean for me and for you as a creationist? Be careful what you read, see, and take as truth. It's all over the place. Like I said, it's in the movie Ice Age. If you ever watch it again with a different lens, you're going to see that the people in it are classified as missing links. It's in science textbooks. It's everywhere. Always test everything that you know against God's word, which is our truth and that which we follow. You do need to understand what evolutionists believe so you can have intelligible conversations with them, so you don't just rip into them, but rather can intelligently discuss and talk about what you believe and have an argument behind what you believe. And lastly, knowing all this allows you to be a light for Christ. All right. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.